Welcome to the Morning Star Series 3 Stock Picks. I'm Holly Black. With me is Wim-Hein Pals. He's Head of Emerging Markets Equity at Robeco. Hello.
Hi there.
So we're not doing 3 stocks today, we're doing 3 countries because you look at emerging markets and they're very disparate, these countries. They don't all rise and fall in tandem in the same way we might see in the developed world. So where are you feeling positive about for this year?
Yeah, it's very important that emerging markets is not a homogeneous asset class. So you have to pick the right countries. That's our starting point, top down. And then we're very bullish on Brazil. Brazil has gone through a very tough period after the Lava-Jato, the car wash scandal with the previous governments. And now we have, since over a year, a new government with a very reform-minded government. And last year, there was a huge pension reform bill signed, agreed, in all the houses in Brazil. So that is a huge saving on the bill Brazil pays to their pensioners. It's going to be 300 billion reais saving. There's more reforms coming. In the meantime, you see a recovery on the real economy. You see recovery in earnings in selected sectors and companies. So we are very bullish on specific Brazilian financials or real estate companies. We overweight the domestic economy in Brazil significantly.
Super. Well, let's get on our plane and travel around the world. Where else do we like?
Yeah, in Asia we like Indonesia. It's a relatively small country, small economy compared to China, India, and the giants, but it's very solid. It is solid from a growth angle. It's 5.5% growth, nothing spectacular, but very solid growth, driven by domestic sectors, driven by the consumer. A huge middle class, developing, growing every day. Being more and more educated as well, so that's another interesting growth angle where we can taper in the infrastructure in general. So also education, but also the real infrastructure, right? The roads, the airports, the seaports are humongous investments going forward, and there we can benefit as an investor in Indonesia as well.
Do countries like Indonesia also benefit with the trade tariffs between the US and China if people are looking for suppliers in the region but elsewhere?
Yeah, definitely. So multinational companies are deviating and spreading their risk away from China only to China and the rest of the region. And Indonesia is one of them, one of those countries to benefit from that trend.
And what's the final country that we're positive on?
Yeah, last but not least is India, where you have this almost 1.5 billion people rising from poverty. That is the long-term trend with the growth in the domestic side of things. So India is not a country where you buy export companies, except the IT services sector, obviously, where you have very interesting growth angles, but more the domestic sectors like real estate, like the industrials, financials selectively. In the financials, private banks are much better than the PSUs, the government-owned banks, but some really strong growth. Private banks are listed on the Delhi Stock Exchange. So that's where we focus on from an Indian angle. Also the penetration of financial products. They start with a mortgage and buying their first motorbike or car, which comes with a car loan. And so the financial services sector is really a growth sector in India.
Super. Well, thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And thanks for joining us.